kulikuwa na mademons. Silikuwa zimejaa hapo. Ingine ile ya pembe 7, ingine ya mkia 3. Mwenyezi Mungu akatusaidia. Na pale Bomas kulikuwa mbaya. Watu walikuwa wametumwa pale wamuhonge Chebukati na shilingi bilioni 1 ati atangaza yule jamaa. Akakataa. Akatumiwa wakubwa ya jeshi ya polisi kumtisha. Akasimama kidete. Kutoka hapo wale maofisa ya GSU wakiongozwa na kamanda yao, Mungu akaguza hao, wakasema wataki Kenya ichomeke. Na huyu rais wetu kwa sababu ni shujaa, alikuwa ameambiwa ati aende akae pahali, ati angoje ataitwa. Akasema hapana wewe, ati tukae pahali tungoje. Akasema tuende huko. Akakuja na Mama Recho na Pastor Dorcas, magoti wakaomba mpaka ile demons yote ikaondoka, akatangazwa kama mshindi. Kazi ikifungua, tutakaa chini kuandika kitabu ya hii vile William Ruto alikuwa rais wa Kenya, kwa sababu is an interesting book. Kuna mambo mengi tutaeleza vile maneno ilikuwa. Mngetaka tuandike hiyo kitabu? It is a book that must be written so that Kenyans can know the journey of transforming Kenya, how it went, ilikuwa namna gani. Kwa hivyo mimi nimeshukuru sana.
Good afternoon. A statement from the Commission as regards the verdict of the Supreme Court today on the presidential election petitions. The Commission appreciates Kenyans for peacefully exercising their democratic right to vote on the 9th of August in accordance with Article 38 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. In fulfillment of the Constitution, the Commission put in place a robust and transparent election infrastructure to ensure that the votes cast were counted, electronically transmitted, verified, tallied, announced and declared in line with Articles 81 and 86 of the Constitution. The general election was conducted by about 1,000 dedicated permanent employees of the Commission, assisted by over 400,000 temporary staff countrywide. The Commission is grateful to this staff for a job well done. Additionally, the Commission recognizes the support by stakeholders, including the judiciary, the National Police Service, and service providers who participated in the electoral process. The Commission gives special recognition to development partners who provided support that bridged financial gaps in the Commission's budget. In the course of discharging our constitutional duty, the Commission and its staff endured harassment, intimidation, abduction, arrests, and some lost their lives. It's tragic that Mr. Daniel Mushoka, a returning officer for Embakasi East constituency, was abducted and tortured to death in the line of duty. In addition, Mr. Geoffrey Kitobo, a returning officer for Kishugu constituency, died in what could be election-related stress upon completion of elections in his constituency. In this general election, the abuse of IEBC staff reached an unimaginable scale. Apart from the 2 deaths, the Commission and staff suffered other atrocities, including, but not limited to, assault and injury of the chairman, Commissioners Professor Abdi Gulier and Boya Molu, and the Commission Secretary and Chief Executive Officer Mr. Marijan Hussein at the National Tallying Center during the declaration of results. Unwarranted arrest of a voter education coordinator by anti-terrorist police unit on the floor of the National Tallying Center, who was detained for 3 days. Abduction, torturing and holding incommunicado for 9 hours of the managed election operations and a support staff by persons to be believed to be security agencies. Attempted arrest of 3 staff members who are lawfully verifying election results on the floor of National Tallying Center. Abduction of a staff of a service provider working at the National Communication Center. harassment and physical assault of staff of service providers manning heavy-duty printing and photocopying machines at the National Election Communication Center, physical assault of election officials in parts of Narok, Kakamega, Kirinyaga, Wajir, Nairobi, amongst others. In one instance, a presiding officer in Eldas constituency was shot in the leg, resulting to amputation. Physical assault of returning officers bringing results to the National Tallying Center. Breaking into offices of senior commission staff at the National Tallying Center with the intention of accessing sensitive data. Ethnic profiling, targeting, and cyberbullying of members of the commission and its staff. To date, no one has been arrested for these crimes committed against members of the commission and its staff. As it stands, no human rights or civil society organization have condemned these heinous acts meted on the commission and its staff. Working for IEBC should not be a death sentence. The commission reiterates that election is a process and not an event. This process started immediately after 2017 general election, and the commission tested its systems and processes in over the 40 by-elections in the last 5 years. Therefore, the Supreme Court judgment today is a testimony that the commission conducted a free, fair, transparent, and credible general election that met the democratic aspirations of the people of Kenya. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is finally vindicated. We look forward to the full judgment of the Supreme Court, as well as feedback from our stakeholders during the post-election evaluation exercises which will inform areas of improvement in the electoral process. Finally, the Commission wishes to thank immensely its legal team in not only defending it, but also ensuring that the sovereign will of the people of Kenya is protected. God bless Kenya. God bless the IEBC. Musyoka was a very effective and professional election official, an amiable gentleman, a family man, and notably an outstanding patriot who has paid the ultimate price in the course of executing a key national duty. The IEBC and the country have lost a huge resource in a man who had become a highly dependable electoral manager. The answer to this question seems to be that the bell tolls for the election officer of the IEBC every 5 years. I ask and I wonder, why must an election officer be murdered after every general election? Whose gods do we anger by performing our sacred constitutional duty? 5 years ago, we lost our ICT manager, Chris Musando. A week ago, we have lost our returning officer, Daniel Musyoka, who now lays before us and the nation. Their only crime is that they serve this nation diligently and honestly from their workstations at the IEBC. In this general election, the abuse of staff reached a very unimaginable scale. In an incident never witnessed before, Commissioner Professor Gulier, Commissioner Molu, and Mr. Marjan, the CEO, and myself were physically assaulted and injured at the National Tallying Center, that's at the Bomas of Kenya. These shameless attacks, amounting to election offenses, were perpetrated by, among others, persons regarded as national leaders in the full view of the whole nation and the whole world. To date, no one has been arrested for crimes committed against senior constitutional office holders seen live on national television. Further to date, I'm yet to hear of any human rights group or defenders condemn the heinous act that occurred at the Bomas of Kenya on 15th of August. I call upon the Inspector General of Police, the Director of Criminal Investigations, and the Director of Public Prosecutions to move with speed to investigate and charge the perpetrators of these election offenses which were geared towards subverting the will of the Kenyan people. IEBC staff have suffered physical body attacks, threats to their persons and families, intimidation, and lawful arrests that can only be termed as abductions. In Eldas constituency, a presiding officer, Mr. Mohammed Kanyare, was shot by assailants, leading to amputation of his leg. Kanyare is still in hospital, and we wish him a quick recovery as we take solace in the fact that his life was spared. It must not be lost to the nation the litany of woes that some members of the IEBC and staff have had to suffer in the course of their duties. We have been subjected to extremely negative ethnic profiling, irascible and unrelenting cyberbullying in the social media, including the creation of phantom and fake social media accounts of returning officers. We have suffered incessant verbal abuse and harassment from some politicians and their henchmen. My fellow countrymen and women, we cannot continue like this. We cannot make working for IEBC a death sentence. Our job is to prepare a register of voters, not to prepare a register of our murdered staff members. Our job is to prepare for polls, not to be prepared to be poll bearers of our murdered staff. It defies logic that with the sophistry and technological capabilities that criminal agencies have, they have not been able to resolve these mysterious murders of our staff. It's time that these agencies lift their constitutional, statutory, and operational calling and conclude investigations to see these troubling, tragic murders resolved. For as long as these murders remain unsolved, they will not only create an environment and culture of intimidation, but it also embolden the impunity of the perpetrators of these heinous acts. My fellow countrymen and women, if we do not stop the bell from tolling for IEBC, the bell shall surely toll for all our independent institutions and the country at large.
The 2022 assault was intended to go much further and subject this country to a much more insurmountable existential predicament. In the midst of this menacing storm of violent criminality, unrelenting corruption, and reckless determination to subvert the Constitution, dismantle institutions, and take our nation apart, a ray of courage and integrity was shown on us by God's grace. The leadership of the IEBC, comprising a minority of the commissioners, the secretariat, and the staff of the commission, rallied together and resolved to vindicate the democratic will of the people of Kenya. At great personal cost to themselves, they worked under extremely harrowing conditions to deliver an election which met the constitutional standard and announced results that were beyond reproach. Regrettably, IEBC officers were murdered in the course of duty by actors interested in compromising the elections. Many more were subjected to serious threats, coercion, intimidation, and all forms of pressure by emboldened agents of impunity. We now know that Chairman Wafula Chebukati, who is in this audience, and Commissioners Abdi Yakub Gulie and Boya Molu, as well as the CEO, Hussein Marjan, were offered stupendous financial rewards to cooperate with the agents of impunity, but they bravely resisted. I think these good people deserve a clap. We also know that they were subsequently threatened with dire consequences for them and their families if they did not do the system's bidding and overturn the choice of Kenyans. again, we know that they stood strong and firmly said no. Can we clap for these people? Chairman, stand up, and your two commissioners and Marjan, please let us clap for those great people. You may take your seats. We also know that there was a direct attempt to abduct Wafula Chebukati and murder him so that the commission would be paralyzed, or a compliant commissioner take over and subvert the people's sovereignty. It was a hard, cold, and lonely time. The threats were dire. The promised rewards very lavish, and the pressure relentless.
Okay. And as the verification was happening, we could see announcements being made by commissioners. Kindly explain how that was happening.
Yes, the constituency returning officer, after going through the process and the verification, which was very, very thorough, by the way. I remember in the beginning it took a lot of time because of the scrutiny of those 34As and 34Bs.
Mr. Chairman, you know, when you say it was very thorough, Queen's English, probably now King's English, it's good to explain when you say it was very thorough. What do you mean?
Because all the agents had a chance to look at all the forms, and if there was any issue, then it will be brought to our attention as a commission and is resolved before that result is announced. And in fact, at the end of the day, then after everything is clear, then the commissioners would go and announce the result. I announced the first result. I think that was will be East, and then the rest were done by the commissioners.
So you are saying it was thorough?
Yes.
Involved everyone?
Yes.
The commissioners also?
Yes, everybody was involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there any point where, and I mean particular, Commissioner Irene Masid came and said, this, what you have verified as the results, looking at the portal or what was scanned at the polling station, is a problem or is not correct?
I'm not aware of any such issue being raised by Commissioner Masid about the results being or not being correct.
Not being correct.
Yeah.
And this announcement, you're saying you did the first one. Who did the other announcements? And how many announcements were there, if you have the numbers or you know have how many were remaining? Who were doing them?
We have 291 returning officers for the 2022 general elections, presidential elections, and all the rest of the announcements or for the results was done by the commissioners. I don't have figures as to who announced how many, but the rest of the commissioners did the announcement.
We will get to the point where Commissioner Irene Masid appears to have an issue, but did she make announcements herself?
Yes, she did. She announced quite a number of constituency results for presidential election.
And during her announcement, did she raise any issue? You are asking me to announce this. I have a problem. Was there any issue raised?
Not from Commissioner Masid. Maybe the other commissioner, one had an issue with the depilation of results, and we resolved it, and they went back and announced the correct result. I think that was Commissioner Nyangaya.
In one area? In one area. One 291?
Yes.
But nothing from Irene Masid?
Nothing from Commissioner Masid.
Right. We move to paragraph 46, flowing 46. You've said you did the first one, and you've talked about the objectives.
Yes.
Now, we then move to 47, all the way to 52. You said there was a slow progress, right? And you talk about changes done, And I need you to explain, was it a single, you solely making changes or proposals? Was it a commission? Or?
Your Excellency, I want to salute Wafula Chebukati and the other two commissioners for standing up for Kenya, for doing the right thing, for refusing to be tempted by bribery, for rejecting intimidation and threats to overturn the will of the people and subvert the Constitution. And Your Excellency, I want to thank you that last Jamhuri Day, you did honor these three Kenyans for their service to this great country. We are aware that you antagonized very powerful people and indeed dangerous people. As a responsible government, we have made adequate arrangements that in your retirement, you have full protection and security to enjoy your life without any fear, so that you are safe, because those are not very good people. Your Excellency, we are going to engage with this team as per your instructions. Your commitment to strengthen independent institutions will be achieved, because you are clear that that's the way to build a country, by having strong independent institutions, not just for today but for posterity.
The first affidavit, the one of Youth Advocacy Africa, and Peter Kirika as the petitioners. You have that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you are aware of the issues in this petition?
I will, of course, listen to the petitions. I perused them briefly, and I'm aware of some of the issues.
Some of the issues.
It may not be all, yeah.
And in this affidavit, if I'm correct, you talked about the conduct of elections, the processes that led to, and the system and all that relates to the elections.
That's correct.
Right. And I will then not then rely on that affidavit. I'll go to the second affidavit, Khalifa case.
Yes, I'm there.
You're there. It starts on page 203. Now, if you look at that affidavit, if you look at page 208, you talked about procurement.
Yes.
Not related to the tribunal. Page 209, you talk about voter registration.
Yes.
Page 210, you talk about voter education.
Yes.
Page 211, you talk about technology.
Yes.
Page 211 to 212, you talk about result path verification and tally.
Yes.
Now, all through until around paragraph 64, at no point does it appear to be a disjointed commission or a dispute amongst commissioners. Kindly confirm or explain that.
As in relation to all these processes,
yes,
that happened up to and after, up to election?
Yes.
Yes, there was no disjointed commission. We worked as a commission following the law and the procedures laid down.
And we go then to paragraph 71, is where now we start seeing challenges amongst or within the commission.
Yes.
For 71 on the date of the 15th of August 2022.
Yeah.
So prior to 15th August, how was your relationship as commissioners, and in particular with Commissioner Irene Masid?
As a commission, we were, of course, appointed from 2017. The team chair and 6 commissioners. 4 of them resigned, and we were 3 who then we proceeded to work, and we were joined by 4 commissioners on the 2nd of September 2021. And of course, when they came in, we brought them up to speed, and we worked very well. The relationship was good. I ran an open door policy as a chair, and any commissioner with an issue, including Commissioner Masit, always walked to my office if there was an issue, so there were no problems.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I've read through from paragraph 71 all through and the issues, and I believe let's tackle them in the affidavit in the case of Raila Odinga and Mother Karua, because there you've expounded them further. So let's go to the third affidavit.
I've had the unprecedented opportunity to preside over the 2 general elections and fresh presidential election during my 6-year tenure at the helm of the IEBC. As I look forward to my exit from office tomorrow, I will share my reflections of that journey as chairman of the commission. I was appointed in office on the 18th of January 2017, and we took the oath of office on 20th of the same month. In the oath of office, I swear to obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution and all the laws of the Republic, that I would faithfully and fully, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge the trust and perform the functions and exercise of powers devolving upon me by virtue of the appointment without fear, favor, bias, affection, ill will, or prejudice. And the last sentence, I ask God to help me remain true to this oath. I joined the commission that I had been appointed along with me, with the other commissioners who were 7, to oversee the conduct of the 2017 general election that was less than 7 months away. We had very limited time to understand the infrastructure of the election and architecture of the commission. Additionally, the processes had already been concluded by the previous commission, and there was no time to make any major reviews or adjustments. We conducted the 2017 general election that was nullified, and we held a fresh presidential election as ordered by the Supreme Court on the 23rd of October 2017. And the results of that fresh presidential election were upheld by the Supreme Court in a subsequent petition that was filed. As it will be recalled, one commissioner resigned before the fresh presidential election, and 3 others followed shortly after. And those were very difficult moments as we were just left, the 3 of us. But we had taken an oath of office, and we could not falter on that oath. We had a duty to this country to start preparing for the 2022 general election. Over the last 6 years, we have conducted a number of activities, and some of the notable achievements are, when we came in the commission, we found the commission was being managed under 17 regions as had been demarcated by the commission in the country. But we said, as a commission, in line with devolution, we must set up county election officers, and so we set up 47 county election officers. And then these county election officers have been a success story. We have 47 county election managers who oversee the activities of the commission in the constituencies within those counties. And so we have 47 county election managers and then senior election officers in the 290 constituencies who form an increased permanent staff of the IEBC, which to date stands at about 1,000. We also found an institution which did not have policies and procedures, and so we set on a journey to develop various policy manuals and standard operating procedures to address systemic challenges within the commission systems and operations. All the directorates now have policies and manuals, and as we leave the commission, we urge the incoming commission to build on these policies and manuals, revise them where need be, but these documents are are the ones that have guided us to operate and manage the 2022 general elections. They provide clear operational and administrative procedures for effective governance and streamlining of the Commission's activities. One of the areas we also came up with was drafting legislations and some bills to Parliament. Although most of these bills have not been looked at, and I'm happy, Honorable Deputy Speaker and my learned friend Sesigei, you are here, and the Attorney General is being here. We drafted Referendum Bill 2020, IEBC Amendment Bill 2020, Election Campaign Financing Amendment Bill, and Election Laws Amendment. These bills are still lying in the House, and we urge the Parliament, please look at them and at least prepare them so that this Commission can have better legal framework for the next election. This Commission in 2022 reduced the cost of election as compared to 2017. We actually reused the technology that we deployed in elections. We only bought 14,000 new KIMS kits, but reused the old ones. We did early procurement, although we did not have funding until the last election year, but we did early procurement by entering into framework contracts with various suppliers and negotiated better rates for some of the materials, strategic materials. For example, ballot papers in 2017 we were paying about 150 shillings per ballot paper, but in 2022 we will pay 25 shillings per ballot paper. So the cost of elections was reduced, but it cannot come down tremendous because we must rely on technology, and technology is expensive. And also our legal framework is what drives the cost of elections, where we must have a certain number of polling stations, not exceeding 700 voters per polling station. So as a Commission, we also said we must print sufficient ballot papers. We printed ballot papers equivalent to the number of registered voters. This then served two purposes. One, reduced the cost. Number two, it eliminated avenues that provide opportunity for electoral malpractice like multiple voting or ballot stuffing. So we just had enough ballot papers. And of course, we also, in an area where there's no possibility of eliminating possibility of malpractice, we strictly identified voters using biometric voter identification system and using only the printed register. Manual register was deployed in a few areas where technology failed. Transmission of results, we only transmitted the image of result from 34A using the results transmission system from polling station to the national tallying center and constituency tallying center. I'm pleased to report that the Commission and National Police Service worked harmoniously well, serving a few isolated incidents at tallying centers. The Commission also developed 17 election manuals that were used in training staff and other stakeholders like judiciary, political parties, and the media. These trainings gave stakeholders a clear understanding of the election process to engage in various areas related to elections. We collaborated with the media, Kenya Media Sector Working Group to enhance transparency and ensure a quick flow of information in election reporting to the public. IEBC also had a MOU signed between Editors Guild and the Kenya Media Sector Working Group, and 600 journalists were trained on areas related to elections for accurate reporting of election results. At the Bomas of Kenya, we had the Media Center, which hosted local and international media, and we also had a media consortium which was formed, and the expected outcome was that the media would tally results and announce. even after having done all this, the media, I know, embarked on a journey to tell you results, but never announced. I think it's only one media house that posted results on the website, which were equal to the results which was announced by the Commission. The achievements are many. Because of time, I will move on to a few challenges because I know our chief guest needs to make his speech. The Commission, in the course of achieving all these milestones I've mentioned, of course, has encountered a number of challenges. As a country, we need to be alive from where we sit as a Commission, that these challenges are many, but I'll just highlight a few. One of the biggest challenges sitting as an election manager is the highly ethnicized and divisive politics in Kenya. The combination of highly competitive elections and negative ethnicity in Kenya's politics always leads to divisive elections that often results in poll violence. Ethnicity is often the main currency of competitive elections and is habitually mutates into conflicts between dominant competing ethnic tribes, thus undermining national unity, security, and stability. Such divisive elections have always led to enormous political pressure being applied on the Commission, as commissioners and staff of IEBC are always subject to ethnic profiling during campaigns and public rallies, making them insecure and susceptible to attacks. Although the challenges posed by highly competitive politics and negative ethnicity are recognized by all stakeholders in Kenya, there has never been a deliberate effort to conclusively deal with the issue. Instead, symptomatic treatments such as disbandment of the Commission has been routinely undertaken every election cycle. It's time as a nation that we had a candid discussion on the electoral system that the country should adopt to suit the circumstances of our country's political anatomy. But more importantly, we have the IEBC fund, which is provided for in Section 18 of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act. This fund needs to be actualized so that the Commission gets its funding at the beginning of each financial year so as to be able to deliver on its mandate. Well, I'll say one more thing that we saw during the last election. The Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article 88, lays great emphasis on the independence of the Commission, both in decision-making as well as operations. Despite these clear legal provisions, attempts are always made to undermine the independence of the Commission during elections. The 2022 general elections witnessed probably the gravest attempts to usurp the independence of the Commission and the sovereign will of the people of Kenya as expressed in the polls. These attempts took the form of ethnic profiling and open threatening of some members of the Commission and staff, arrest and holding communicator of Commission staff and service providers without lawful basis, abduction and illegal detention of staff and service providers by state security, attack and assault of some members of the Commission, staff and service providers by goons and law enforcement agents at the bomas of Kenya and at some county and constituency tallying centers, abduction and murder of a constituency returning officer, intimidation of the Commission by some members of the National Security Advisory Council to moderate results which goes against the will of the people. The gravity of these attempts to subvert the will of the people cannot be wished away or swept under the carpet because they might reemerge in the future. For this reason, the Commission wrote to the President of the Republic of Kenya requesting for a public inquiry in respect of the process leading to the declaration of the final results at the bomas of Kenya. The outcome of the inquiry, we believe, will bolster the independence of the Commission and ensure that it maintains the stature contemplated by the Constitution. It will also enable a future election environment devoid of harassment, intimidation, profiling, and harm of Commission staff while discharging their duties. It will also ensure that institutions that support the Commission during elections discharge their duties and responsibilities in accordance with the law, and not as directed by individuals with partisan interest hell-bent on subverting the will of the people. As we finalize our term in the Commission, we must say that one of the biggest threats to the Commission is misinformation and disinformation. The Commission, as established and mandated by the Constitution of Kenya and IEBC Act, has clear roles, duties, responsibilities of its members and staff. Pursuant to this provision, the Commission also has structures, including plenary meetings, committee meetings, and other corporate governance structures. The Commission is not devoid of corporate governance. We have full structures in place, and we believe with the little amendments that may come up in Parliament, this Commission can only grow stronger. It's therefore incumbent upon the Commission and staff to conform to this corporate governance model, to adhere to the rule of law and fidelity to the Constitution. To act in any other manner is tantamount to straying into forbidden territories of breaching the objectives of the Commission, and these objectives are shared with other constitutional commissions and independent offices, protecting the sovereignty of the people, securing observance of all state organs of democratic values and principles, and promoting constitutionalism. For that's why we were created. This launch marks my last duty as the chairman of the Commission. I exceed a very contented man, and I say we gave it our best. We charted and weathered the storms that threatened the existence of the Commission. We endured relentless fatigue in our preparation for election. We mastered high courage to overcome perils of democracy and pick the baton from us to take the elections of this country to the next level. I wish to acknowledge the assistance we have been accorded by our development partners, that includes the direct support of UNDP, led deepening democracy programs with the membership of European Union, United Kingdom, the Republic of Germany, Republic of Italy, and Republic of Ireland. We also appreciate various initiatives by USAID. Finally, I thank the people of Kenya for this opportunity to serve you the last 6 years. I equally, with abiding respect, applaud the resolve to vote peacefully, the resolve you made as people of Kenya to vote peacefully during this election. It's a gift that I will cherish and carry with me always. God bless IEBC and God bless Kenya. Thank you very much. In 2022. The previous years, and particularly 2017, there were issues with the transmission of results. There were issues of transmission of results in 2013 general election. Lessons learned from previous elections then helped us plan better in 2022. What we did in 2022 is we said we are not transmitting the text message of the results from the polling stations, because what happens when you transmit the text and then the results forms comes, there's always a problem between the text and the result forms. And then that creates room for misinformation and disinformation again. Then people say, the words used in Kenya is that you are cooking the results. So what we said, we shall only transmit the image, the form. The presiding officer at the polling station, we had 46,229 polling stations. So the presiding officer completes the form, that 4A, which is polling station specific, counts the results with the agents, completes the form with the results, signs it. The agents of the candidates also sign the form and are given copies of that form. And what the presiding officer then does is scan the form on the KIMS kits and transmits it to the National Tallying Center, the Constituency Tallying Center, and the public portal at the same time. the image is captured on an encrypted digital PDF format using the Teams device. And then the PDF is what is sent to the public portal. And the security feature here then is each form that 4A has a QR code specific to that polling station. So you cannot transmit this form from another device or from another polling station. And that's what we did differently, a 15-digit QR code for each polling station, and gave the rights to the specific station to the presiding officer so that it can be biometrically identified before he scans and sends the image. So it was not easy to get another form from another place other than that polling station. And each of these forms could then be traced to that polling station. And even the forms we generated at constituency level called that 4B, which are for the 290 constituencies, were also uploaded on the public portal. And the form that 4C, which is the summation of form that 4A's, all the 46,229 forms, giving the result of presidential candidate, was also uploaded on the public portal. So at the end of the day, this information was available for everybody to see. The commission has the results. It will keep them for the next 3 years, and anybody who wishes to interact with them is free. The paper is on the role of technology in improving the integrity of the electoral process, and particularly focusing on Kenya, where I served as the chairperson of the commission for a period of 6 years, which ended sometime this year. This paper is about the 2022 elections in Kenya, and in particular, focusing on the transmission of the tally results. It analyzes the system we used, how it was implemented, and how it helped increase election integrity, the importance of speed, transparency, and auditability in making the tally reports publicly available, and set a standard that can be applied to election practice in other countries in the region. Transparency in elections and all phases of the election is key to trust in the election outcomes. To achieve this, timely publication of election results is consequential. Delayed results give room for misinformation and disinformation. It's important to use transparent and efficient methods to make information public. I looked at a report by International IDEA. 56% of disinformation attacks target the voting period, and especially transmission of results period. This is a study International IDEA carried on over 100 elections. So election management bodies then must invest heavily in this phase of the electoral cycle. And excellent elections carried over the whole electoral cycle and you can prepare for 5 years. Everything can come to naught just because of results transmission. And this phase of results transmission is what I call in my paper, the last mile test. Now, the results transmission, as I said, is key. It is the last mile test. And IEBC tally reports for presidential elections. The law says all presidential election results must be electronically transmitted. And processed and transmitted these results in a quick and speedy manner. And the forms were scanned. We call it Form 34A, which contained correct and accurate data of results aligned to each polling station. The tally results were available to stakeholders and the public. And this, we worked very well with the telecommunication service providers. And in a few areas where there's no network, we had to bring in satellite modems, which then gave us 99.9% of the tally forms, which were uploaded within 24 hours of closure of polls. This matter of the elections ended up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court after going through the evidence, had this to say, and I quote, "The technology deployed by the IEBC for the conduct of the 2022 general elections met the standards of integrity, verifiability, security, and transparency to guarantee accurate and verifiable results." So the Supreme Court was satisfied that the technology deployed was of very, very high standards. Kenya's, in conclusion, let me say that Kenya's 2022 general election set a new culture of peaceful and legitimate elections. The driver was the changes IEBC made in transmission of results. And the African Union and COMESA, among the many other observers during the election, said in their report, as a result of the changes made to the results transmission system, the provision of presidential election results were publicly accessible on the IEBC portal. The mission welcomes introducing these transparency measures to improve the integrity of the electoral process. End of quote.